He needs to learn how to wrap that thing up.
Oh, your head out of the Quit yucking my yum.
All right, what's happening, everybody? This is the Philly Experience Podcast. Whole crew here tonight: Chris Stacker, Tanner Gilmartin, Tyre. I'm so used to doing it back in the studio with the last name, so we used to trim them up.
Yeah.
But Tyre, Hood, Max, Script, Solo, the whole
full
crew
name
here.
in there.
Yeah, there we go. We got it.
All going right.
Again, to start off, hopefully everybody's staying safe again, as usual, as we try to grind out these days through the summer. But again, we got a lot of topics tonight. We want to touch on NBA restart in Orlando. There's people saying it should be moved now with all those cases being increased in the state of Florida, but we'll touch on that. And one key thing I just learned today that Victor Oladipo will not be playing, which is good for the Sixers.
Oh,
So
no!
there's one less big-time player they got to face. And again, we'll touch on football, big-time news. Cam Newton finally signs. Going to the Patriots, and then we'll touch on some other things, off topic as far as on the field, but, possible Black and National Anthem being played before the games of Week 1, and possible name change to the Washington Redskins as well. Baseball, we're back with baseball this week. JT Realmuto still in contract talks with the Phillies.
Do we know it's hard?
Deal still has been made yet, but both sides have still been going back and forth. And, we're 20 days away now from opening day, so we'll touch on a little Phillies baseball, and then always got to go with the hockey there with Chris. I got to talk hockey with Chris. It's been a few weeks, Chris.
Oh, yeah.
Got to dive into that as well. So let's
Quit yucking my yum.
the NBA restart here. Obviously we know it's going to be held in Orlando. Obviously we know it's only about 2-3 weeks away now. And I'll throw it. Whoever wants to start, so I'll throw it to you first.
Yeah.
I guess first I want to get your thoughts on Oladipo. How big of an impact is that for the Sixers? I know the Indiana Pacers are still a good team, and they played the majority of the season without him. But as far as us, trying to increase in the standings here, we're still sixth. Does that give us an advantage? Oh, I'm sure it gives us an advantage, but how big of an advantage does it give us, especially with the fact that we have one of the easier schedules remaining?
So here's the thing, and it does provide us an easier schedule because Oladipo is not playing. Seeing as though that the Indiana Pacers really, for the majority of their offense, runs through Oladipo.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the concern is that we should not have to be still concerned about the Pacers regardless if Oladipo's out there. Not because Oladipo is one person, but seeing as though we're dealing with the Philadelphia 76ers, in which before the coronavirus hit, the biggest concern was the fact that they were so inconsistent and that they weren't beating the teams that they were supposed to be beating. So, of course, either way, I don't care who's out there or not, I'm still going to be concerned because before the coronavirus hit, this team didn't give me anything to be confident in whatsoever. So why should I be confident now that they've gotten the break and they're supposedly going to be at full strength, regardless of who's out there or not? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, the Sixers have not proven to me that I can trust them to go out there and win the games that they're supposed to win.
T, what do you think about Oladipo sitting out? Do you think he made the right decision here? He said that, his health is a major concern about, going back to play.
Let me tell you something. I have no problem with none of these players. Whoever doesn't want to play due to health concerns, I don't blame them because this is not something that you play around with. I know people in my family that have gotten sick from the coronavirus. This thing exists. So I do not blame these players if they don't want to play. Hey, if you play, cool. If you don't, that's cool too, because I completely understand. Your health is at risk, man. And there's no vaccination yet. So why should they put their life at risk? I don't blame them, especially if you have families to provide for.
Listen, the Sixers have one of the easier schedules remaining here, and we've seen players come out. Ben Simmons says he's in better shape than he was in the beginning of the regular season, back in October. And Al Horford says that time off was just what he needed. Are you guys buying into these, remarks made by these players, or do you still think, when this thing kicks back up, it's going to be the same old Sixers, rolling with some good games, some good stretches of games, and then all of a sudden they just, rip your heart out at the end of the day?
Yeah, Max, you took the words right out of my mouth. Every year it's the same. For the past couple of years, it's been the same for the Sixers. They get their hopes up. They get into the playoffs, and then they just play poorly in the playoffs, or they get in the playoffs, they're almost there, and something random happens. Talking Kawhi, and it's just heartbreaking every year for these Sixers. Whether it's their fault or not, it's the Sixers that it's the play in the regular season that really determines where they're obviously seeded in the playoffs going forward. And for them to just lolly into the playoffs how they were at the end of the season before the league was suspended for a little bit, it's just not confident play that we were seeing from these Sixers. And as far as we're concerned, we're looking to get a new head coach next season. So a lot's on the line for these Sixers players. And most importantly, Brett Brown. He's got to prove that he can still coach in the league. Maybe he can still prove to the Sixers that he's the right guy to be on that bench coaching this team. But as far as Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid go, they're two great players, and I believe in them when they're at their at full health potential. And Ben Simmons, he was playing great. Joel, he was figuring himself out still. He was supposed to have this great season. Everyone was saying he was going to have this great season, but regular Joel Embiid came out to play a couple times. Now people weren't really in belief that these two players could play on the same team together and gel. But I think I've seen Joel and Ben practice a lot during this time off, and I think that'll go into it a lot. And I am a little more confident than if there was no suspension and we would have been playing straightforward. I think the Sixers have a better chance. Now, of course, any team that wins, it won't feel as real and won't feel as much of a victory. But it's still you're still playing games. You're still playing against NBA players, and I'm curious to see how this team fixes itself.
Yeah, listen, you're still playing real games, and you're still going to be playing playoff games, hopefully, and the finals are still going to be played. One thing you did mention that I like is Brett Brown. We hear about these players, and we can watch them, on social media work out and get in the gym, but we don't ever hear things about Brett Brown. These guys are human beings too, and this guy has a ton of experience, which is going to benefit him going into this shortened season. But at the same time, as a coach, are you just sitting around? There's not much you can really do. I mean, obviously watch film and go over plays, but when we come back out of this long break, are we going to see the same plays being run? Are we going to see the same offense being run? Are we going to see the same type of Sixer players? The same production, or do you guys expect that, with the much needed rest for Al Horford especially, and Simmons with the back issue he had previously, do you think that there's going to be a different attitude on the court when we get back?
And you already mentioned how players are already there's a growing list now of players dropping out of this restart. You mentioned Victor Oladipo, and then now there's Trevor Ariza, Avery Bradley, who the Lakers are now replacing him with JR.
Yep.
Which is going to be interesting to see how he and LeBron play together after what was sort of an awkward
finish to game 2 of the finals.
Yeah.
That was certainly interesting.
Davis Burton. And there's a couple more players on that list that it's really going to change the outcome of the playoffs, because some of these teams are losing their key guys on each team.
100%. Yeah, the Sixers are not one of those teams. Luckily, so all of our guys have bought into this, new shortened season. And I want to throw it to Chris now. Chris, with the Sixers only playing, I think, 11 regular season games, and then, we assume they're going to make the playoffs, how far of a run do you think they can go here? Because, listen, I know it probably depends on round 1 matchup. So if we play the Celtics, how confident are you that we can get out of the first round? Or do you think we're going to be another early exit again?
Uh-oh.
Is he frozen?
Yep. We
lost him.
Chris got frozen.
All right.
He'll come back evenally, but
we'll come back. Yeah, we'll come back to him.
But,
we'll come back to him and touch on that.
Maybe he's just thinking about it.
He needed a break off camper. But no, guys, listen. Like I said, these players, and again, I'm going to go with Al Horford here. I just want to focus on him. This is a guy who we've all, really have stressed his importance on the court throughout the first, handful of months of the season, and he just hasn't produced living up to that contract flat out. So I think he's going to be one of the key factors. Him and Ben Simmons, both. I mean, we all know Embiid's going to do his thing when he's healthy. Simmons, hopefully, we haven't seen him play in a while, but hopefully he's over that back issue. And Al Horford, hopefully with that rest, he's now 34 years old. Hopefully he can provide something down the stretch. Chris, are you back?
Yeah, sorry about that.
No problem. I wanted to ask you.
We're talking about players.
We're going to move off this Sixer topic real quick, but I want to get your thoughts on the Sixers coming down the stretch here and hopefully getting to the postseason and making a run. How confident are you on this team after this restart happens? Because these guys haven't played basketball in now, 3-4 months?
I've felt like, especially the past couple of years, like I feel like the Sixers always hit the ground running pretty, early on. So with them resuming play, I feel like they could definitely start out pretty hot, but making it all the way to, I'm still not confident in their ability to go all the way. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what happens. But everyone's in the same boat.
I think I agree with that. I think the good news about all of this is we have, guys who are battling health issues as far physically and also age-wise, and I think this break benefited us well. Celtics are pretty young. The Raptors are young-ish. I know that Kyle Lowry's getting up there in age, but the Bucks are another team that's pretty young too. So
can't forget how on fire the Bucks were at the end of the season.
Yeah, 110%. I think that a lot of people are already handing this title to the Lakers, and not that the Lakers aren't probably the best team. You could argue them or the Bucks. But again, real quick before we move on here, there's places who Denver Nuggets, I'm going to say for an example, and the Clippers as well, have already shut down their facility for practice. That is going to affect their on-court abilities, at least early on. Maybe those teams use this 11-game, 12-game stretch as a warm-up, so to speak, because basically the Clippers definitely have already made the playoffs, and hopefully they were able to mesh and get themselves ready for the postseason. But I'm excited for it, and I think the Sixers have a good shot to at least get to the second round, maybe even further. I don't know. It's all really going to depend on the rest and how healthy these guys are. Simmons, is he over that back issue? We haven't seen it in person.
We're talking about young
we're going to
guys
find
with
out. But he
back
looks good in
issues.
the gym, and I'm pretty confident
No kids.
he'll be ready to rock and roll once the season resumes in a few weeks here. So let's roll on to football here. Let's touch on Cam Newton first. I know we got a lot of football topics tonight in different directions, but I just want to start with Cam Newton. Your guys' first reaction, off the top of your head when you hear Cam Newton's going to the Patriots.
What?
That's it.
T, I wanted to bring this up because I remember, over a year ago, you showed me a video of Cam Newton, speaking to this group of people, and he was talking about what's going through his head, under 15 seconds to,
Yes.
when he's at the line of scrimmage.
Yes.
And, Cam Newton perfectly displayed that he's not a dumb quarterback.
No, he is not.
He's reading so many things. He's got all these signals, and I think Bill Belichick could really weaponize Cam Newton in a way he couldn't weaponize Tom Brady, just because of that aspect of Cam Newton's speed. So I think New England could really have something here with Cam Newton.
So, Tanner, because I think you're the one that predicted this to happen, I hate you, okay? I hate you. This is probably the worst case scenario that could have possibly ever happened. Okay, first off, like Chris just said, you're limited to what you can do with Tom Brady because Tom Brady's not a quarterback that has the ability to run the football. As a matter of fact, he runs like a pregnant water buffalo. All right, that's how slow he is.
I don't think I've ever heard that comparison.
So now that he has a quarterback, all right, he has a quarterback that not only has this cannon strapped to the right side of his arm, now he has a quarterback that has the ability to run. And like Chris just said, I showed him this video like maybe a year ago of Cam Newton and what an average quarterback goes through in the huddle during a cadence. Okay, and he's explaining all this in 3 to 5 minutes, but the reality is the quarterback only has 25 seconds of doing everything that Cam Newton just described in the video. And I'm gonna link the video to you guys. Look, Cam Newton is going to open a lot of people's eyes. I don't get why he was so disrespected. I don't get, the anger towards him because he still is a very good quarterback. You got to remember, this is a man who won the MVP and took the Carolina Panthers to the Super Bowl, given the fact that he did not have a number one receiver that year. Like, he basically took that team to the Super Bowl on his own
He
with
also
a
didn't
pretty
jump
good
on
defense.
the ball, but that's a different story.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about that right now. But listen, the dude, and then to hook him up with one of the best head coaches to probably coach the game of football and Bill Belichick, are you stinking kidding me? All right,
Yeah.
look, he took Jacoby Brissett, who's a scrambling quarterback who really wasn't that good of a thrower in his rookie season, and still won games with Tom Brady being suspended. What do you think he's gonna do with a Cam Newton? Oh my gosh!
It opens up the playbook, certainly. Tanner, what do you go ahead?
This is just a big nightmare for the Bills. For a second, we thought the Patriots, they're going to have an off year. They're going to go into the draft and they're going to fix things. But instead,
It's ridiculous.
they go ahead. They become the first team to lose an MVP and add one in the same season. Cam Newton only guaranteed $550K.
I'm sick of
But
this.
for me, I think this is more of a timing thing. With Bill Belichick, he's a very smart coach. The Patriots are a very sneaky team, and what people aren't talking about is the penalties that the Patriots recently received from the Spygate, spying on a team, the Cincinnati Bengals, which was really unnecessary. The penalties include 1.1 million in club fines, a loss of a third-round pick in 2021. The TV crew won't be able to shoot any games this season, and they'll all have to require training.
Wow.
For me, it was really timing that that everyone was assuming that the Patriots were done for at least this season, and then they go ahead and they sign Cam Newton the same day. They receive these penalties, showing the world that they're still on top. They're definitely still a playoff team to me. They haven't lost anyone really on the team besides the obvious. They're still a great team, and they're scary.
I
Now
agree.
with Cam Newton, a mobile quarterback.
Oh god.
Pats are still a good team. See, I think you brought up why people hate Cam Newton and why is there disrespect towards Cam Newton? Why is there hate? My opinion on that is when I watch Cam Newton play, and granted, he's super talented. I will say that people ask, why does he run so much? Don't run, fly. Same thing with Wentz, and we can relate this to him in a way. It's what makes the football player great. That's what he does. He's just massive as a quarterback, and he can just carry like 2-3 guys into the end zone. From the one. That's what makes him so special.
He has the size of a linebacker that runs a 4.4 40. Nobody gonna want to tackle that.
It's really crazy, when you think about his athleticism. But I think to the disrespect point, I think when you watch him play now, we watched him play for almost 10 years now. It seems like he was just at Auburn yesterday in college. But there's times when I'm on the football field, and he's on the football field, and I'm watching him play, that it just seems like it's all about Cam Newton. I think he's a team leader. We've seen him take a team to the Super Bowl, and like you mentioned, too, without the number one receiver. But, when the camera's on him, he's got his eyes closed and he's praying, and it's all the towel on his head and the Superman flying around. I just feel like it's all about, Cam Newton. He doesn't have and again, his personality wise, I don't have anything against it. But, from a public eye, I just feel like people don't think he's humble at sometimes. And, again, that's what makes you it's almost in a Baker Mayfield way in college. How Baker was always, he planted the flag at Ohio State, and, he got some brushback about that. But listen, at the end of the day, it's all about, can you win football games? And I think even at his age, Cam Newton can still win football games. And I don't know if I'd go as far to say he could, he can make the Pats a better team with him instead of, Tom Brady at this point in Tom's career. But, he can still take this team to the playoffs. And if he's healthy, then I don't see any reason why the Patriots can't be back in the Super Bowl this year. I know the Ravens, I know the Chiefs. Believe me, the Chiefs are crazy. But if you get a healthy Cam Newton, if you get a peak form Cam Newton or close to it, look out, because he's one of a kind. Just like Patrick Mahomes is one of a kind with his arm, Cam Newton's one of a kind with his size. And his ability to get out of the pocket, and then with his speed. That's underrated. People think about his size, but his speed too, like Chris mentioned, is still, even at age 30 plus. We'll see. We haven't seen him healthy in over a year now since he got hurt his shoulder, week 2 last season. But again, like Tanner said, this team's still dangerous, and it was a good signing for the Pats, even though none of us are fans of them. But it's a good signing, and again, he deserved to get signed. He's still talented enough, and he could still be a starter. I've heard crazy rumors that the Patriots love Jared Stidham, and they want Stidham to start. I've heard those rumors.
Yeah.
Now, I don't agree.
I
with
wanted
that.
to ask you guys that. I wanted to ask you guys if you think Stidham sees any playing time this year.
Man, that's
or this coming
ludicrous.
year.
I do think he does, and I don't know how it's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be injury related, but I just feel like they pushed his name so much in this offseason that for him not to get one snap, I just feel like
especially for them to possibly not even play any preseason games. I think Jared Stidham still sees the field.
Yeah, 100%. And the age of Cam, him not playing in over a year, I think that's going to affect.
They might just rest. They might just want to rest Cam. If the Patriots are doing really well at the end of the season, of course, we've seen teams do this where they play their second string the last 1 or 2 games. It's quite possible we get to see Jared Stidham out there.
At this point, this is how I feel about Jared Stidham.
What's he here for?
Like straight up, what? Like, what is his purpose at this point?
Somebody's got to be the backup T on that team.
I'm sure that's what Cam Newton's saying.
I agree.
That's all I'm saying.
Guys, let's transition to something off the football field now. We've heard a lot of things now with what's been going around our country recently. I will start with FedEx first of all. Investing $204 million to have their name put on Washington Redskins Stadium, and they threatened to. I don't think they threatened to back out, but they urged the Redskins to change their name. Start with you on this one, and now the Redskins are facing some pressure. Do you think before the season starts there will be no more Washington Redskins, and we're going to have to call them something else?
I think the possibility is very high, considering the fact that for $200 million, that's a lot of money that's on the line, and Dan Snyder isn't that much of an idiot. Well, okay, he's an idiot. Okay, he's an idiot, but
Tanner, you've been down to FedEx Field. You saw those
let me
big
tell you
FedEx
something.
letters
It wouldn't be such a huge loss if the Redskins didn't play at FedEx Field. Let me tell you, that's one of the worst stadiums I've ever been to.
that's what I keep hearing. So
I was gonna say,
yes,
you've been there.
Yeah, go ahead, Tanner, because you've been there before. So go ahead and describe.
Experience.
Yeah.
Just terrible bathrooms. Seating's weird. It's just all out. It's a mess. The stadium's a mess. It doesn't seem like it's really worth that much for someone that's been to a stadium like Lambeau Field where they've been able to take care of their field and the link is way better. It's just I understand it's branding and money that goes into it, and for now it's definitely racial too because the name has a lot of backlash, and I know there's been protests for years and years. This team has been around since I believe 1933. They've been talking about changing this name for years and years, and Dan Snyder hasn't seemed to be able to be convinced to change the name. And also, I've seen how they could possibly change the state. They could go and play at a different stadium, but that also would cause license agreements and rights to play there too. It's a big mess. The Redskins are going to have a lot on their table to change. And I already mentioned this earlier. The Redskins could likely just change their name to Last Place because that's just what they're familiar with, and that's usually where we're seeing them. But who knows about this season? I'm curious to see if they do change the name, what the name will be, and how Dan Snyder will be able to handle this, because it's even trickier during these situations going on around the world right now, how he'll handle things.
How big of a reason, with what's going outside in our country right now, what's happening, how big of an influence would that be on the name change possibility?
Huge influence. Influence. Social media is at its peak right now. I know a couple years ago it was still, but even right now with propaganda and stuff going on currently, with president politics, you name it. It's just a lot that goes into it. And also, this is more of a Native American thing, and Native Americans they've been protesting these names. It's offensive to them, and they have the right to do so. And it's very tricky, and it's very current because of everything that we are witnessing right now. And there's big changes going on throughout brands of syrup and just brands throughout the world that are being changed through this for good.
Yeah, lots of companies facing pressure, and to transition to the Black National Anthem that's going to be played before games week 1. Let's get your opinion on that.
So, all right, let's get some background into this. So I seen an article yesterday that said that for week 1 of the NFL season, the NFL will be playing the Black National Anthem, which is Lift Every Voice and Sing, at every single game during week 1. And as a black man, this is my response to that.
It's an outrage.
And
it's stupid.
Because look, now you're just completely missing the point. All right? You're completely missing the point of the protest, of the Black Lives Matter thing. The whole point of this is for black people to have equal rights just like everyone else. Why the hell are we bringing in the damn Black National Anthem for? For what? For what? Now you're completely missing the point of everything that's been going on this past month and a half. All these videos, all these speeches, all these movements. NFL, are you paying attention? And then, to make matters worse, I hear there's a rumor going around that the video that came out that I know most of you guys have seen with the NFL players, protesting, Black Lives Matter and things of that nature, having having Patrick Mahomes, the NFL, the latest NFL MVP, speaking out about, all these justices, and the NFL's not saying anything about it. And I think this is a reaction, a knee-jerk reaction to this. Listen, all we want is equal rights. You're going about it the wrong way. You want to do something, NFL? Donate some money to some causes, okay? Don't do this. It's a bad idea. It's a horrible idea.
Maybe the owners could be, nervous now with what's happening around. They want to, emphasize, that trying to unite everyone, and maybe they're going about it in the wrong way. I know
they are going about it.
Think of ideas, but maybe this isn't the best idea that they can come up with.
No, they are going about it the wrong way. Which, once again, I'm all for unification. We spoke about this a couple of weeks ago. I'm all for bringing everybody together as one people, as one body. Look, but this ain't the way to do it. Like I said, donate to some causes. Put out some commercials condemning some of the things that's been going on in this country if you feel strongly about it. But having a Black National Anthem being sung before the start of the games instead of the national anthem, not the smartest move. I don't agree.
Tanner or Chris, if you have anything to add, you're more than welcome before we head on to our next topic.
I don't have anything really to add on. I think T had very interesting points on the topic, but I do think the movement can benefit from voices such as the last two MVPs, where we have Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson. For them getting their voice out is very important for the league too, and for the movement. And I think as far as that, I think they need to maybe do a little more on. I know Lamar Jackson, he is doing stuff with Madden and the cover, and they're trying to voice out and really make a change. And I think that could benefit the movement.
Yeah, T kind of hit all the points. As far as a Black National Anthem, T kind of put it this way: it seems like they're just trying too hard, and it's just not the right way to go about it. Yeah. And there are definitely other ways that they could do it.
I think the effort's there from Roger Goodell's standpoint, but maybe just going about it in a different way, like T mentioned. But we'll see how it plays out. NFL is still a little bit down the road, so there's a few months here to see where this all how this all plays out as far as name changes and things like that. So I'm thinking it'll still be in the news, of course, but again, it'll be interesting to see how much attention it gets once we start getting back to baseball, basketball coming back and things like that. And then on top of that, you'll have obviously NFL talk as well, because usually football dominates the media for the most part in the headlines. So it'd be interesting to see how that all plays out. I do want to roll on to one more football topic now. Just came out today. David Njoku requests a trade away from the Cleveland Browns. He wants out, and the number one team that's rumored, your Dallas Cowboys, which is not surprising considering Jerry Jones is always in on any big time names. And listen, this guy, maybe not a ton of people have heard of him before, but he's a really good tight end. He got injured last year, pretty bad injury actually.
I want me some glory hole.
He should be healthy. But again, Austin Hooper signed a contract in the offseason with Cleveland. Basically, that makes Njoku expendable at that point. And he demanded a trade. He did not request a trade. I will use the verbiage correctly. He demanded a trade out of Cleveland.
Yeah. It makes sense to me. I wasn't very surprised to see Njoku wanted out of Cleveland. I did see a lot of people saying how they could really have a tight end threat in Cleveland with both Austin Hooper and David Njoku, but that would be in a perfect world. Obviously, Njoku, he thinks he can be, top tight end, and with Austin Hooper there, that's just wouldn't be possible. And for a team like the Cowboys, who already have Jarwin, that'll be very interesting to see him go to a team like that. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the Patriots were in too on him. But,
yeah, me either. Patriots could use a tight end. I didn't really think about them, but
very curious to see where he goes. He's a great player. I remember one play he was at the 5-yard line and he dragged 2 guys on his back into that end zone. He's very powerful. I've had him on my team the last 2 seasons of fantasy.
For a good
reason. He's a player to me. He's a key player. He's a good player.
Yes, definitely a good player. He's definitely gonna be worth maybe 3rd round pick possibly. Again, we'll see what his health is, this upcoming season. But again, too many mouths to feed in Cleveland. Odell, Jarvis Landry, even the running backs, Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Yeah. And now Austin Hooper in the fold. So yeah, I definitely think Njoku will be traded, and it'll be interesting. Maybe he goes down to Houston with Deshaun Watson. There's probably a decent amount of teams who need a tight end when you actually sit down there and think about it. But he is definitely a good player.
I'm talking about the many mouths to feed in Cleveland and the various amounts of weapons. Is this make or break for Baker Mayfield? I know the coach said that it's not out of realm of possibility that they sit Baker Mayfield. Is this make or break for Baker Mayfield? Is he a bust already? Could you call him a bust? I wouldn't call him a bust thus far, but I've seen people call him a bust, and that obviously he wasn't the best quarterback drafted. Right. But is this make or break for Baker Mayfield?
I'll answer this quickly, and then I'll throw it to Team Chris. I don't think it is this year, and here's why. I think Big Ben coming back healthy is big for the Steelers. And every time Big Ben is healthy, it seems the Steelers are just rolling on all cylinders, and they're a threat to make the playoffs every year with him. The Ravens now with Lamar Jackson are basically an automatic lock in the playoffs every single year. So you're kind of putting Baker in a tough spot just off the bat, without playing a single football game. The key thing for me is this: Joe Burrow with the Cincinnati Bengals. He doesn't have a ton of help around him. If he can win football games for the Bengals off the bat, and the GM and the owner of the Browns see that, and they're like, thinking to themselves, we have a lot more talent than the Bengals, but we may not have as many wins, then you got to start to question it. If Joe Burrow comes out next season and plays, poorly, and maybe the Bengals just don't have a great season, and maybe the Browns do miss the playoffs again, but maybe they go 9-7 and they just miss out to a better Ravens team and a better Steelers team, then you give Baker maybe another year. But as of this moment, now I don't think it's make or break.
So you said something about the Pittsburgh Steelers and how they're going to be competing in the AFC North along with the Baltimore Ravens. Yes, the Baltimore Ravens that's an automatic playoff spot being taken up. However, I disagree with Pittsburgh only because of the simple fact that, yes, Big Ben, when he is out there, they are riding on all cylinders. The issue is he doesn't stay healthy, and they have still yet to address, having an adequate backup quarterback for him. So with that being said, I wouldn't necessarily say the Pittsburgh Steelers are. I won't say they're not a threat, but they're not the biggest threat in the world either.
If
And
Big Ben stays healthy this year, the full 16 games, do the Pittsburgh Steelers have a better record than the Browns?
but the thing is, you can't rely on that. Not with
just
Big
saying.
Ben's track record as of
Just
this
saying.
current moment. No, oh,
And I think the
you're
Steelers are a
correct.
better team if Big Ben stays healthy. I
Oh,
think
no
they
doubt
are.
about
AFC
that.
North is going to be a very competitive division. It's
And
going to be
then-
very exciting watching these
Yeah,
games.
I agree.
And then with Joe Burrow now, being drafted to the Cincinnati Bengals, and like you said, if he does come in and he starts winning a couple games, I think that does put pressure on Baker Mayfield, especially considering the fact that you have an Odell Beckham and a Jarvis Landry, and then you have some of the top running backs in Kareem Hunt. Come on, man! It's no way that you shouldn't be able to win a couple of football games. Like, come on, man. I don't know what in the world is going on. But then also I kind of feel bad for Baker because what is this, like his third head coach now in his career? So
Yeah.
that's not
And he
endearing
hasn't had a
either.
good one yet. I mean, it's not like he's dealing with Bill Belichick, then Doug Peterson, then Pete
Correct.
Carroll. He's dealing with Hugh Jackson and Freddie
Yeah,
Kitchen.
don't forget that the Browns have Case Keenum back there on their bench, ready to take over for Baker Mayfield at any time.
Yeah.
I don't know if I. Well,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
we'll
a-
see.
Not a
I don't
lot
know
of
if
people. Not a lot of people are talking about that, but
Yeah.
Case Keenum's there, and if Baker
Yeah.
Mayfield sits a couple games, Case Keenum will be playing.
Oh yeah, that's a ringing freaking endorsement. Yeah,
Chris, what do you think? Is
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield, is this season make or break for him? What do you think?
So, I mean, you and T both made great points about, what's going on in the division. And as far as, he hasn't had a solid head coach yet. But what makes great players is battling through adversity. And I think Baker Mayfield has, great potential to be a top 10 quarterback in this league. But because he has all the weapons.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
the
true.
O-line maybe isn't the greatest, but he's got so many weapons there. And, if they, I really, because like I said, Baltimore is for sure in the playoffs. Big Ben, he's great, but he's aging, so don't know how much longer that's going to last. And then Joe Burrow is a complete wild card. And as far as concerning David Njoku, I just hold my breath every time Tanner mentions where he's going to go because Tanner's somehow right about these things all the time. He ends up in New England.
I try to be careful.
Yeah, Tanner, where do you think that Njoku's headed so I can get that on
Oh,
paper?
yeah.
I would want to say the Patriots, but that would just make too much sense. And they didn't spend a lot of money on Cam Newton.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
jump
true.
out this
That would be
window.
a team. Who knows? Maybe next show I'll have a prediction, but just put me down as a possibility of the Patriots.
All right. I
I
got
hate
it
to
down.
see him. I would hate to see him go to the Cowboys.
Tanner,
I think that would make
I kid you not. If he goes to the Patriots, I'm gonna rise up somehow, some way, reach the screen and slap you. Like seriously. By the way,
What?
since you have been
Yeah,
hitting on
it's-
some hits, listen, give me some lottery numbers. How about that? Forget everything else. Forget where players are going. Give me some doggone lottery numbers because you seem to be on fire.
Benefit out of it, T. Find a way to benefit out of it. I agree.
You doggone right, I
Well,
will.
Since we were talking about the Steelers and we were talking about how the Browns have weapons, and a weapon that the Steelers lost not recently but a season ago is Antonio Brown, and recently we saw him warming up with none other than Russell Wilson, and a scary thought goes through your mind: what if Antonio Brown joins the Seahawks, and how scary will that Seahawks team be with Antonio
Yeah,
Brown?
I think Antonio Brown does come back. I don't know if it's going to be, soon, as far as a month from now, but I do think he's coming back. And the key thing about it is he stayed out of national media. We haven't heard a lot of him in recent, maybe about a month or two now. I haven't
about
heard the
damn
name
time.
Antonio Brown really on social media or any videos coming out. So people say that when he's on the football field, it's all about football. The only problem is the off the field stuff. Now, my question is, how do you go to New England and you can't work with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick? That's my question. Now, again, going from those two to Pete Carroll and Russell Wilson isn't a huge drop off. I mean, those guys are both, Super Bowl, they got a ring, So Russell Wilson, the guy is just so professional, on and off the football field. He seems like the nicest guy, and he's one of the best players in the league. So if you can't work with Russell Wilson, I mean, who can you really work with?
My thing is this, and so me and Chris was discussing this when we were in the studio, and I think one of the biggest things I brought up was the simple fact that, listen, if you can't work with Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, you're out of the league, and that's period point blank.
Yeah,
And
that's true.
I'm sorry. Like I said to Chris, all those months ago, Antonio Brown at this point, he's a pain in the ass. All right, and when you're a pain in the ass, I'm sorry, you're not gonna get a whole lot of play, especially. I don't care how much talent that you have.
Does he come back?
I don't think so. I really don't.
What
Because
is he doing out there, Russell Wilson? Just having a catch? He's out there playing a little catch with
He was
Russell
serious
Wilson.
back there.
Yeah, why
They got helmets on, T. This isn't in the backyard playing with their kids. All right, this is some serious route
How do you know that helmet's approved by the league?
I believe he's still wearing his Raiders helmet.
and then on top of that, okay, so you
like that silver one.
So
you're right.
you're talking about players playing catch and whatnot. Okay, well, Deshaun Jackson's working out with Jalen Hurts. Does that mean Jalen Hurts is going to be a starting quarterback? No, let me shut up.
He is on the team.
Let me shut up on that note.
That could quite possibly have a return before Antonio Brown is Des Bryant. I've seen him warming up too. I've seen him playing with different quarterbacks. And
That is
that's another
blasphemous.
I don't think he's I think he's past
That guy's
possibility of return.
Yeah.
But just he's still out there working, just like Antonio Brown, and it'll be very interesting to see how they handle this Antonio Brown, whether suspension or I don't know how they'll go about it, but just him on the Seahawks. Come on, that's just scary, especially for us, because we're facing the Seahawks, and we already have trouble with them. We had trouble with them twice this last season.
I feel like they're always on our schedule. We can never get them off the schedule.
Yeah,
They're always
dealing with Russ and the Seahawks.
I will point out, Des Bryant did sign with the Saints, before he tore his Achilles. Maybe over a year ago now, but we'll see. We'll see with Des Bryant. I'm going to try to squeeze this topic in, but it might go a little long. But I'll tell you, I want to touch on this. One thing I'm buying into recently, T, as a football guy here, is just the eye test in college. I think, when you watch these guys in college, it's like, wow, they jump off the charts, and then you draft the number one overall, like Baker Mayfield, for example, and it's just like, he's not Patrick Mahomes. So what is it with these guys, getting paid $120 million contracts when, in my opinion, if you're a smart GM, obviously if you have a Patrick Mahomes, you just give him the $1 billion, because he's once in a generational talent. But other guys, such as Josh Rosen, for example, getting drafted in the first round, and guys like that, is it really that hard to tell the difference of talent there, or is it just me? Like what is it where you draft Baker Mayfield number one overall? Because now we can all see with our own eyes, like, this guy's never going to be a top 5 quarterback in the league. What do you think it is?
Here's the thing, and you know what? That's one of the biggest question marks, for scouts that are looking at these kids coming out of college and going to the pros. It's kind of the reason why there's emphasis put on, where exactly, they come from, especially, if they're from LSU or Alabama, in that, in the SEC, where that's where most of the good NFL talent comes from, is that SEC. So that's one of the biggest mysteries in the world, because, and here's the thing, and it's not like these scouts aren't doing their job. It's not like they're, not going to the ends of the earth trying to, dissect and trying to get into the minds of each and every single last one of these players, because they are. At the end of the day, by the time the draft comes up, these scouts will know what they'll think, what they ate, the entire nine, their entire history. So, and like you said, yes, at that point, you have to go on the eye test of what you see. So, if you see somebody that's dominating the competition, let's say Division I AA, if they're dominating, that division, okay, you might take a flyer on a guy, but I'm not necessarily going to draft him, high. I might slap a second, third, early third round grade on him. Yeah. But, in terms of Baker Mayfield, once again, you really don't know who you're truly drafting at the end of the day. I don't care how much scouting that you do. Yeah. You don't know who you're drafting. Like, for example,
arm strength is my biggest thing in college. Like, you just watch Mahomes in college, and you're like, God, this guy jumps off the charts. You watch Baker, he can run around, do those like dump flip passes and things like that, but he's never going to be a top 5 quarterback in the league. And one key guy who we haven't ever really mentioned on the show before is Jordan Love. This guy gets drafted in the first round, but is this guy really ever going to be a top 5? I mean, think about that. The name Jordan Love is a top 5 quarterback. Like, is he worth a first-round pick?
Two
the
things.
Packers could have nabbed somebody with some serious talent there.
Mhm.
Instead, they go with Jordan Love. Like, I just don't understand it.
Two things. Quarterbacks.
The Packers had a chance to really improve their team, and the fact that they go with Jordan Love is really it raises an eyebrow of who's making the decisions over there.
Yeah, I agree.
Quarterbacks are always going to be more valued than any other position on the field. That's number one. So it doesn't matter, who that quarterback is. They're going to be valued. Look at Ryan Tannehill. Let's be honest here. Was he really worth a first-round draft pick? Hell no. So quarterback is always going to be overvalued, period, point blank, and there's no getting around that. Now, back to you, Max, and what you were saying before about, how do you scout talent? You really don't know who you're drafting out of college. I'm sorry, you just don't. Look at Nelson Aguilar out of USC. Okay, he dominated the Pac-12. That's the issue, though. He came out of the Pac-12, where everything is a spread offense. Everything, is wide open. You're pretty much one-on-one against a guy. If you don't catch a football out there, then something's severely wrong with you. Right. So he gets to the NFL. He gets a case of the dropsies. His first couple of years, third year, the Super Bowl year, he finally finds himself. Fourth year, he's still in rhythm. And this past year, all right, he flat out stunk. He lost us a couple of games. You don't know who the heck you're drafting, unfortunately. So that's the one of the biggest mysteries. And yes, you do have to go off of an eye test. That's the most important thing. You gotta look at that film. To hell with stats. Stats can make a guy look freaking awesome. And okay, so another example. I'm gonna bring it a little closer to home. Derek Barnett. I'm not the biggest fan of him. Never was coming out of Tennessee. Okay, he shattered Reggie White's record at Tennessee. But I think his last year at Tennessee, I believe he had 14 or 15 sacks. That's impressive. But the thing about it is, now he gets to the NFL, he still has yet to eclipse an 8-sack season. And now he's going on his 5th year now in the NFL. That's a problem. I have a serious issue with that.
What's your opinion on Kyler Murray?
We'll have a big decision to make.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. And listen, with Kyler Murray, for example, coming out, everybody said his size. They were pointing to his size and saying, that's going to be his downfall. He gets drafted by the Cardinals, probably not the best organization. We all know that. But I don't see this guy being a top 5 quarterback in the league down the road.
I'm not going to say. Go ahead.
For me, Kyler Murray kind of was under the radar the entire season. Of course, everyone wanted to see his first couple of games, but for him to win Rookie of the Year, it was just. I was not expecting that. I thought maybe Josh Jacobs or Miles Sanders would take that trophy. But Kyler, he played a reasonable season, especially with the team that the Cardinals were last season. Now, giving this season and the players he'll have, he definitely, if he was going into his rookie year, would be more of a shot to win Rookie of the Year. But he has it now. Moving forward, he has the weapons that he has to really. To make his worth in the league.
Oh, we're losing Tanner. Oh,
I hope not. Good. Oh, is he back?
Oh, he's back.
All right, good. All right. I just wanted to get everybody's opinion on that. It's something that's been on my mind lately, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to this upcoming college football season because I really want to put an emphasis on these quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
Try to think, okay, I'm looking at this guy. Can I see this guy being top 5 quarterback in the league one day? And it's going to be interesting to see. Every year I feel like there's always like 2 or 3 names that we look at and say, okay, this guy we know is going to be a first-round pick, but is he ever going to get to that next level as far as being one of the faces of the league? And that's the thing with scouting is you never know.
And real quick on Kyler Murray on Kyler Murray, because me and Chris also that was another discussion that we had, and he asked me about his size and things of that nature. I'm not going to say size doesn't matter, but I always do look at because for me personally, I always do look at the dog in the player. Y'all know that's my saying. I love seeing the dog mentality come out of these players regardless of their size. So I'm not going to say size is a hindrance for Kyler Murray, especially with how Russell Wilson has come in and flourished. However, I'm not going to say size doesn't limit him. And do I think he deserved to be the Rookie of the Year? No. Me personally, I would have given that award to Josh Jacobs. That's just me personally, but running backs don't get the same type of love that quarterbacks get. So
yeah, 100%. I want to roll back to basketball real quick. So I want Tanner to make his one point that he wants to make. Go ahead, Tanner.
I think it would be important to mention the retirement of a veteran that we've all known our whole life because he's been playing our whole life and farther beyond that. On Thursday, June 25th, 43-year-old Vince Carter retired from the NBA after 22 seasons. He played eight different teams.
Oh,
He was Rookie of the
no!
Year in '99. He's a 2-time All-NBA, 8-time All-Star. Considered one of the best dunkers in basketball.
Ooh, yeah!
19th all-time in scoring, I believe. And he's played in 4 different decades.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
With mention of his accolades, he's never won an NBA title. With this being said,
That is blasphemous!
question that I have to you guys, I'll answer real quick and then leave it to you guys. Who's the best player to not currently have a ring in any sport? I'm straying away from basketball, and I'll say Dan Marino. In 17 seasons in the league, he's a 9-time Pro Bowler, 3-time All-Pro. He was the league MVP, over 61,000 career passing yards. He set 29 NFL records during his career. He's a Hall of Famer, and he's no doubt a legend, but he didn't win a Super Bowl, which obviously didn't keep him from earning a spot in Canton, Ohio. However, the fact that he has no Super Bowl is just crazy. He has 18 playoff appearances, just 1 Super Bowl appearance. He lost to the 49ers. To me, he's the best player to never win a ring. Max, we'll go to you. Who's the best player to never win?
You go so many directions with this, honestly.
You can.
And I tried to look for best players / players that I always thought were fascinating. And I'll go with baseball here. I'll go with Ken Griffey Jr. I thought Ken Griffey was always,
That's
the
a good
kid,
one.
man. He was the man,
Yeah.
Hall of Famer, MVP of the league, played. I got close to 20 seasons, maybe even more. I can't remember off the top of my head because it was little. I caught the end of his career. I think retired in like 2010. But man, when you see this guy's highlights and towards the end of his career, when I was able to catch the last few years, I mean, off the charts talent, and to never win a ring for as many years as he played, just crazy.
Oh man,
T, how about you?
Oh man, I've been tossing this back and forth, but I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna pick a player that was before our era, that was before our time, but luckily because of tape, I've been able to go back and rewatch those games and rewatch some of the amazing things that he's done. I'm gonna say Randall Cunningham. Randall Cunningham was considered the ultimate weapon. Unfortunately, he was hindered by having a defensive coach named Buddy Ryan, who cared more about putting emphasis on the defense than he was the offense. And when I talk to people about, seeing Cunningham, and after watching the tape, I can believe what a lot of people said. I had a conversation with my cousin one time, and he said straight up, he's like, Leo, they didn't get Randall Cunningham protection. They just sent 5 fat guys out there just cuz. Like, they didn't send offensive linemen out there. They just picked 5 fat guys. I can imagine Randall Cunningham like going to Buddy Ryan and just be like, yo, man, can I get some kind of protection? Like, come on. And Buddy just responding, yo, man, I got you 5 fat guys. What do you want me to do? What do you want me to do? That ain't my forte. But listen, Randall Cunningham should have gotten a ring. The amazing things that he's done. The fact that he could also kick the ball.
Yeah.
He punted the ball.
I remember seeing him punting the ball from the end zone.
So kickers, punters, there's no sticking excuse why you shouldn't be an athlete, but we're not talking about that right now. Randall Cunningham is my choice.
Alrighty.
All right, Chris, let's go to you, and then let's finish off with your favorite topic.
Oh, yeah. Well, unlike all of your guys, I'm going to a guy that I know none of us have watched play. I'm going to say Ted Williams. Because
Wow. Yeah.
you look at this guy's numbers, 521 home runs, 1,839 RBIs. His career on-base percentage is the highest all time, 19-time All-Star. I mean, when you look at his accolades, Baseball Hall of Fame, it's crazy that he didn't get 1 ring.
Yeah. That is sick. Arguably the best left-handed hitter ever.
Oh, yeah.
To play the game.
I mean, Babe Ruth might have something to say about that.
That's true. I will agree with that. I just want to point out these Ken Griffey stats. A 630 career home runs, career 284 hitter. He played parts of 22 seasons. He came up when he was 19, retired when he was 40. So, I mean, to not win a 1 ring. And, you think maybe if he played in a different era like today where, the players have a little bit more say in where they go and kind of try to create these super teams. We've seen it in the NBA.
Baseball's also modified to hit farther too. So
That is true.
So
this is
interesting.
just
Tony Gwynn's another good one.
Yeah.
You see, T, this
Mr.
just
Padre.
this goes back to last year. Your discussion on do rings matter to a Hall of Famer, and we were discussing Donovan McNabb, and all these players we stated are great, legendary players. We're still talking about them. They're Hall of Famers, but they just came short of a ring, which really is, I'm sure, very upsetting to them. But for them to do many things, like you're in the history book, and I know I mentioned Vince Carter, he still won a gold medal.
Yep.
That to me, that's just as you're winning a medal for your entire country you're playing for.
Yep. What do you think about this,
the world?
Tanner? What do you think about this personality-wise? I know it shouldn't matter, but I think it does. You look at other players who haven't won a ring. Maybe they're just more respected more. They were more liked in their career. Yeah. I didn't watch full Donovan, because I kind of got into, so that age range where, you kind of caught maybe half of his career. But, from what I remember, he wasn't the most liked, figure in sports throughout his career.
Yeah. It also goes, it could just boil down to luck, too. You're placed on a team that is great all around you. We talk about a legend in Aaron Rodgers who just has one ring. He could totally have more rings. To me, he could have at least 3 rings. We mentioned Donovan McNabb who went there, just couldn't get it done. Vince Carter was bouncing around the league a lot. The teams that the farthest he went was the conference, I believe. And that's just, it boils down to luck and who's on your team when you're there. And we talk about personality, a well-respected player in J.J. Watt. He hasn't gotten to the Super Bowl. He's a Walter Payton. He's doing things off the field. He's is a great guy, and it's a shame you're placed on a team that's just not producing that you would.
Not his fault. Maybe you blame it on Bill O'Brien, but
who just hurt his chances even more.
Yeah,
by getting rid of one of the best wide receivers.
Oh,
well,
So that's
by
a
the way,
topic.
since we're on the topic, we're on the
You
Texans.
dumbass.
You're mentioning David Njoku, and the Texans also need a tight end.
Yes,
So that's a possibility.
they really need weapons. They could use any weapons now that they lost,
Got
DeAndre
that
Hopkins. So, we'll see. I think Njoku is a kind of an under the radar type of name. Like wherever he lands, like he'll produce. I feel like he's helpful.
Agreed.
All right, let's put this on ice and talk hockey.
All right, Chris, what do you got? Let's roll with it. I know the Flyers have a great opportunity here this shortened season to get this.
You piece of Swiss cheese!
What do you want to touch on here as we wrap it up here?
Well, I mean, there's really only 2 things to touch on. Well, kind of the good news is Oscar Lindblom finished his cancer treatments yesterday. So
100%. That's amazing. Thank
so
God.
Oh yeah!
I'm so happy that he finished his cancer stuff. But from a hockey standpoint, I mean, he's a good player, a really good player. So
yeah,
we missed him.
Yeah, dude, you put him in this lineup. I mean, makes the team that much better. And then, not concerning the Flyers, but the draft lottery happened, I think, sometime last week, and the team that is going to get the first overall pick is yet to be determined because they have to play the play-in rounds first.
That I heard. It's bad news for the Senators because they were god awful.
They really needed that first pick.
I really thought they were going to get the first pick, and now we find out that a team that's in the playoffs is going to get the first round pick. That just creates more chaos for a sport that really thrives on it. So
yeah, that first overall pick, especially this year, the guy who's going first their scouts are touting him as the best player since like McDavid 5 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So he's supposed to be insane.
Is he a center?
He's actually a winger.
Okay.
He's a winger. He's crazy good though. And the guys who are going to go 2 and 3 are also really freaking good. I just hope it's not the Penguins because they're one of the 16 teams that could possibly get that pick. And they've already had 4 generational talents. They don't need a 5th one.
Yeah. No, listen. You got no argument for me on that one. I definitely want the Penguins getting that first overall pick. It'd be terrible. But I wanted to get your opinion on these rosters here. What is the roster going to look like? I heard, are we losing a few names, maybe 1 or 2 that I can't remember off the top of my head.
So contracts will have expired 2 days ago. If things were going according to schedule. Everyone's contracts have been extended to sometime in October. I forget the exact
Right,
day.
when the season ends.
Yeah, presumably.
Okay.
But for as of right now, there are no roster changes at the moment.
Okay.
I mean, the Flyers are tight to the cap, and with them signing, I forget his name, the European from about a month and a half ago, with them signing him, that's going to cut away some of the depth.
Yeah. Was he playing? Will he be playing in this upcoming season? No, not playing.
Oh well, next season probably.
Next season. Okay.
But with the playoffs, no, he's not going to be.
Real quick, I want to get your opinion on this JT Realmuto situation. We all sat on the show and we're like, sign JT. What's going on now with this virus in play here?
Do we know it's hard?
That really impacts the contract, the money, the years, and everything like that. So yeah, of course we want to sign him, but there's question marks as to money and years. What's your opinion on this? I'm sure we all still want to sign him, but do you think the Phillies are making the right approach here by taking it a little bit slower than maybe we as fans like?
I mean, that's how they approached it with Bryce, but I mean, also Bryce was approaching it that way too. But man, JT Realmuto is undoubtedly the best catcher in the league. I mean, there are guys who are close, but I'm not going to hear an argument. He is the best catcher in the league, offensively and defensively.
Yeah.
This is undoubtedly you need to sign him if you want a chance to compete in the National League East, which in my opinion is the toughest division in the MLB. You need JT Realmuto back there for at least 140 games out of the year.
Yeah, that's asking a lot out of your catcher. But again, if you pay him the big bucks,
if you pay the big bucks, in my opinion, I would say he's probably the best consistent hitter on the team, behind maybe McCutchen. But I'll donate my brand new car to the Phillies to help sign them.
Listen, Andrew McCutchen and Ernie, we haven't mentioned coming off that ACL, supposedly going to be healthy for the start of this season. And our lineup looks pretty deep as of right now. Scott King replaced on the IL due to coronavirus concerns. I'm assuming he possibly could have gotten it. Now, they're not allowed to disclose what individual players have gotten it, but
it's ridiculous.
He was on the list. So he was in Phoenix, which is his hometown, and I know that Phoenix has been slammed with the virus recently. So it's going to be weird how this whole plays out. I don't know what the protocol is, like how long you have to be symptom-free in order for him to get back to Citizens Bank and start practicing again. But
I did see John Clark of NBC. He posted a video of their temperature check system that they have going on at Citizens Bank Park. It's a screen. You look into it and it checks your temperature.
Okay. Yeah. Well, listen, they have to go through so many different protocols and all for good reason, of course. But I think we don't know. Sir Anthony Dominguez still hasn't gotten his Tommy John surgery, which I don't know why. Like, this man should have had the surgery months ago. But
what the hell is going
he keeps on trying to rehab it. Like, man, just get the surgery. We need you in the bullpen. Our bullpen is atrocious. We still have Hector Neris on the team.
Oh God. Okay.
It's funny that you bring that up. I know
that one was for you, T. That was for you.
Okay.
I know it's kind of off topic, but they played NBC.
I'm sick of this.
The game against the Dodgers in 2019,
Yeah.
and the Phillies were up like 6-1, and I come back maybe an hour later. It's the ninth inning. It's 6-5 Phillies, and Hector Neris gives up a 3-run home run to I forget who.
Yep.
God damn.
Yeah, it's brutal. It really is brutal. That's one thing our problem was our pitching. Now we did get Zach Wheeler, and we could talk about this. We could talk about this till the morning.
We could go into Andrew Knapp making more money right now than if he would be playing. I mean, right now he's fleecing the Phillies basically. He's making more money if the league doesn't play at all than if he would right now, and he's comfortably just sitting on his couch.
Why is he still on the team? I don't understand.
Max, I've been asking myself the same question over and over when I put a Phillies jersey on and when I go to bed at night. Why is Andrew Knapp still on this team?
We have the best and the worst catcher in the league.
There's got to be
It's
someone
unreal.
who's better.
When Andrew Knapp walks up to the plate with ducks on the pond, nothing's going to go right.
No, I agree.
There could be 0 outs, bases loaded. Andrew Knapp finds a way to get to run into a triple play.
Because that guy doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Yeah, that's true, man. He has bad luck, and I just feel like he doesn't really deserve to have a spot on the roster. Not that he's not a nice guy. I'm sure he's a solid dude.
Oh, I'm sure he's a great guy.
Oh yeah,
But,
sure.
man.
But the guy selling popcorn could be great too. But he's not over there on batting in crucial moments of the game.
Well, I'll tell you what. I don't have anything else to add with that. Let's end on a good note.
Nope, I can't. Woo, wow. Oh man, you guys missed any of this episode? Always go to Philly-Experience.simplecast.com. Available on all major platforms: Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and more. And before we get out of here, guys, I gotta put my 2 cents on this because I'm so sick of this. I'm sick of hearing it.
Tell him, T.
I'm so sick
preach it.
and tired of this.
Pissed off.
Okay, if you guys have been hearing banging from in the audio, okay, that's from me because my stinking neighbors have been blowing fireworks for the past 2-3 stinking weeks. They've been doing it at 2 or 3 o'clock in the damn morning. What the hell are y'all doing? Seriously, do y'all not have anything else to do? Go to the beach or something. I'm sorry, I'm sick of hearing this at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning when I got work to do. All right, get a life. Seriously.
Wear a mask.
Oh, I don't care what you do. Just wear a mask and go somewhere. Seriously.
It's stupid.
Gosh.
Please wear a mask.
I'm
We're starting to become, the country where like you don't want to be all of a sudden. Our curve is going down, and everybody. I feel like every other country now is like super low.
I don't care where y'all go. Just wear a mask and stop blowing the damn fireworks out my window. I want to get some sleep. I gotta work.
Wear a mask. Wear a mask.
Love
Gosh.
each other.
My final statement. Wear a mask.
All right, people.
Kind of circumcising the mosquito.
I'm not giving Jerry Jones my money. That guy.
Stay thirsty, my friends.
I'm not putting up with it. It's too much horse. It's too much.